you here. I know you. You're still a bit of an outsider. And for those of you who are delegates in the room, because of his late entry into the race, Matt's name will not be appearing on the endorsement list.
I know, I'm so bummed they wouldn't let me put my name on the ballot. So I am not here tonight to convince you to vote for me at the convention this weekend, but we have a few more months for me to earn your support when we get to June. All right, so that's my goal here tonight, is to start that conversation.
All right, so why did you jump into this very, very crowded field?
Well, Nancy, first of all, thank you for doing this and for your leadership locally. I've been so impressed watching how you are reinvigorating the party here in San Francisco, and that's my motivation statewide. I've been watching the race, listening to the candidates, having conversations in our community down in San Jose, and feeling that something was missing. I'm concerned about the future of our democracy. I see rising populism on the right, a reaction and rising populism on the left, and a lot of people who, I think a lot of candidates who are trying to offer really easy answers that sound good, that are sound bites. We're just gonna expand rent control and do single payer, but I haven't seen any details on how we're gonna pay for it, or what the implications might be. And we all know about the easy and divisive and fear-mongering answers on the right. And I think that this is a moment where we need a problem solver who, yes, will fight for our values and push back on this administration, but also knows that the best resistance is delivering results. Holding ourselves in California with all of our resources, our very high taxes and very progressive tax structure, accountable for delivering better outcomes with the resources we have before we ask people to pay more. And I think on public education, housing, public safety, homelessness, and on, we have been failing to deliver, and as Democrats, we have to own that and hold ourselves accountable for doing better, which is what we've been doing in San Jose, and I want to do that statewide with all of you.
So, you were born and raised in a working class family. Your dad was a unionized letter carrier, your mom a teacher. In many ways, I think a lot of Californians can relate to that. What else from your background informs the way that you want to govern California?
Thanks for the question. The thing that I would focus on is the transformative power of education. When it was time for me to go to high school, our local public high school had a higher dropout rate than graduation rate. And my mom, who'd grown up in San Jose, encouraged me to look at schools on the other side of the hill, the side of the mountain range. And I got into this great Jesuit high school, but we couldn't afford it. And they gave me a work-study scholarship. They said, if you work on the grounds crew, we will pay your tuition, we'll cover your tuition. So I took public buses about 2 hours each way, every day, over the mountain range, to get an education. And it changed my life. So much so that when I graduated from college, I came back through Teach for America to be a teacher in Eastside, San Jose. And my biggest frustration, having been in and around education for over 20 years, my wife runs a high-performing high school on our east side, serving first-generation low-income students, is that we're failing too many of our young people and not giving them pathways to be successful in our society. And we really need to look in the mirror, California, when Mississippi is doing 2.5 times better for low-income students of color than the state of California in getting kids on grade level for reading. We really have to ask ourselves, what is in the way of holding ourselves accountable for truly adopting the science of reading, better intervening and training our teachers and helping them to get better, holding our schools accountable for working together to intervene when kids are falling behind to make them successful. This isn't rocket science. Other states, other countries are doing it. We have not been doing it.
So let me ask you the question back. What is in our way?
Frankly, I think it's complacency. I think we have not, inside the party, been willing to have the tough conversations with some of our biggest stakeholders, including our teachers' unions. And the truth is, while testing can be limiting and oversimplified, we should be assessing kids' learning growth. We should allow those at the top of the class to run ahead and pursue their curiosity and their passion and not teach to the lowest common denominator. When kids fall behind, we should invest in high dosage tutoring because it works. In San Jose, we're investing in it and it's helping kids catch up. And most importantly, when we assess student learning and benchmark against other cohorts, We need to reward and celebrate the teachers who consistently have their kids outperforming and turn them into our mentors and coaches. And for the teachers who aren't, it's not about punishing them, but we should look at that data and use it to give them high quality feedback and help them to learn and grow and treat them like the professionals that they are, because the work they're doing is just as important as lawyers and doctors and many other professional roles in our society, but we don't treat it as such in practice. And it's a hard conversation to have with our friends in organized labor, but having been in the CTA, having been a teacher, the conversation is long overdue and we can do better.
So I think there's been a lot of media attention around your successes as mayor in San Jose around homelessness and your ability to reduce the number of homeless individuals or people, unhoused individuals, by 20% in the city.
Almost a third.
Almost a third. Sorry about that.
Crime is down over 20%.
Okay.
But yeah.
So take that and tell us what you would do on the statewide scale to help us grapple with the homelessness crisis statewide.
Yeah, thank you. We have to take a data-driven approach, and I'm sorry to be such a nerd about it, but when I came into office, we had different departments working in silos, spending a lot of money, pursuing disparate strategies, and we weren't really moving the needle. And we took them out of different departments, co-located them on the same floor, and said every day, face-to-face in person, we're gonna do a stand-up meeting, we're gonna actually set up sprints, we're going to take a data-driven approach and hold ourselves accountable for moving people indoors faster. And the truth is, at $1 million a door, and 6 or 7 years to build a brand new permanent supportive housing unit, we were not scaling the solution to meet the need as we had thousands of people living on our streets. So we found more pragmatic solutions, and I want to just quickly list them because there's never a single silver bullet. It's usually a few different things that work. One, we've doubled down on our prevention system with our county, which is best in the nation. Short-term rental assistance paired with case management to prevent someone from becoming homeless, because it's so much better to spend $5,000 stabilizing someone and helping them get to something more sustainable than spend $50,000 a year managing unsheltered homelessness on the streets. There's a huge amount of human suffering involved in that as well that we should be preventing. Number two, rather than $1 million a door and 6 years to build, we shifted. Prefabricated modular units on publicly owned land, buying old motels and fixing them up into transitional and interim housing, and more engagement and accountability on our streets. Outreach that we brought in-house so we had better quality control, and law enforcement, but in a humane way. I want to be clear about this because there's been some confusion about it. We do not criminalize homelessness in San Jose. No one goes to jail for being homeless. But when someone is repeatedly refusing to come indoors, and we've scaled up interim housing and shelter more than any other city on the West Coast, which is why we've also had the greatest drop in homelessness. But when someone repeatedly refuses over and over and over again, we use a brief, humane interaction with the criminal justice system to refer someone to a drug court or a behavioral health court to help them get the help that they need. And as governor, what I would do is coordinate a statewide framework for getting every city to expand shelter, interim housing, and remove barriers to building the long-term, permanent, affordable housing we need. And get every county to build the inpatient treatment and residential treatment beds that we need. And when they're available, intervene in cycles of addiction, mental illness, to help people come indoors. Most people will come indoors when offered a dignified alternative, but some will not. And those are the folks who are the most vulnerable, most likely to die on our streets. We've had 50,000 people die on our streets in the last 10 years, and we have not treated it like the humanitarian crisis that it is. We're starting to in San Jose, which is why we have about a third fewer people living outside, and it's continuing to come down because we've gotten really practical about scaling up solutions and getting people indoors.
All right, last question. What does the future of California look like under a Governor Mahan?
You know, the biggest thing that I want to do is restore trust in government. And I know that sounds abstract, but I believe our democracy is at risk from rising populism on the right and the left. And in San Jose, by getting back to basics, by picking a few foundational things, reducing unsheltered homelessness, accelerating the production of housing, getting more home building going, supporting our job creators and supporting small business, cleaning up our neighborhoods, addressing crime, by really getting back to basics and delivering results that people feel and see in their daily lives. Trust in City Hall in the last 3 years is up by nearly 40%. And I think that the way the state can move forward is not by boiling the ocean, not trying to solve every problem at once, not promise to be everything to everyone, and certainly not recycling the same old things we've been doing for years, but pick a few key issues. For me, those would be building a lot more housing so that families can afford to live here, ending the crisis of unsheltered homelessness and all that goes with it, which includes investments in addiction and mental health care, improving our public schools so that every child is prepared to be successful into the world in which they enter as they leave our school system. If we focus, set goals, are publicly accountable to you, yes, through dashboards where you can actually track if we're getting better on the metrics that really matter to our future prosperity, I believe we will deliver better outcomes in those foundational areas. And in the process, we will rebuild a belief in our democratic process and real problem solving and move away from the performative, hyper-partisan divisive politics that is tearing our country apart. And California can lead the way. It doesn't mean sacrificing our progressive values, but it means demonstrating in practice that our values can deliver real results and expand prosperity and opportunity and quality of life for everyone. That should be our mission as a state.
Thank you.